Hey there, my good YouTubers. It's been a while since I did a last vlog video or whatever. I felt like I'd come on and do one. I'm scanning around YouTube and watching a lot of the GNU Linux videos people have been posting up. And a lot of people, one of the major conversations I hear with a lot of people is that Linux or GNU Linux is in some form of competition with Microsoft and Apple. I don't think there's any competition there when it comes down to GNU Linux, Microsoft and Apple. GNU Linux is not like a business package model like Microsoft or Apple. They don't give a crap about you as a user on your computer. They only care for you to buy it. So if the package looks good, if it's got the bells and whistles and it rings the bells, you buy it. It's what they're interested in. So the first time I've done this, I've wrote all my stuff down or whatever, because there's a lot of stuff I've got to get the information right. I just wanted to sort of share this stuff with you. I've been contributing to the whole Linux thing since about late '94, start of '95 when I first discovered it. And then about a year after that, the sort of web came around. So I wasn't there when the first starting eras of the GNU software project, or the when Linus Torvalds started Linux. But it's obviously when it started coming out to the public, and everybody else could really start getting involved properly with it. And as I say, it's quite a long amount of years. It's 18, coming on 20 years now, so it's a long time. But here's a few of the points, and I think that whatever, I'll just read through what my points are regarding this. As I said, seems like many have lost their way, or even become a little confused as to the real reason for the GNU GPL free software. I keep seeing people making videos on YouTube regarding free software, GNU Linux and so on. The all-famous statement, developers need to eat. Well, that is great, and it's very true. While extreme capitalism exists, just remember you are nothing but a tool. There's a reason I say that. Most people are tools. You work for another company, you're working for them, they're the ones making the money, and so on and so forth. You don't really have your own creative thought to be able to do what you want to do, so therefore you're classed as a tool if you're doing stuff like that. Again, as I said, I want to share with you exactly what are the facts and reasons for the GPL, again, the facts and some of my opinions. Freedom. That is the short and simple answer. It's about nothing more and nothing less. Computers can be programmed to do any task. Run your home, manage your power usage, turn on your coffee machine in the morning, check email and educate yourself. Just what you're doing right now by watching this video. The longer answer. The GNU and GPL primary goal is to preserve four fundamentals in the digital software world. These are, and there's lots of complications and deep details into the reality of achieving this, but basically these are: the freedom to use software for any purpose, the freedom to change software to suit your needs, the freedom to share the software with your friends and neighbors, and fourth, final, last but not least, the freedom to share the changes you make. What this really means is you have freedom to do what you want on a computer, the freedom to mod, change and tinker with any aspect of your computer, to either invent, create or customize anything you want that computer to do, as start your coffee maker in the morning automatically, or by sending it an email to do so. You need to have the full right to be able to share the program with any mods made, so on, irrespective, with friends or the world, so everyone can enjoy it and further invent, innovate and progress it further. Not sure how far you can create a coffee machine timer, but you get the picture. It's simple, really. It's, again, freedom. I go on further and say, furthermore, it is only just and right that if you enjoy the freedom of software and hardware, that you do not under any circumstances restrict any other from the same freedoms, hence pass on the same freedom you enjoyed to others. This is why no matter what, it is imperative that when you share anything or do anything outside of the confidential and private life, that you pass on the same freedoms. This is exactly why it is free, and must never ever, no matter what, ever be closed off so that the person who obtains the program is unable to change the code as he sees fit. Again, these are the primary fundamentals of the GNU GPL and free software. It's not an implication of free as in free beer or free television or free, items. It's not a free product. It's a free software, meaning freedom software. It's all about freedom, nothing more. The idea that Microsoft has made is a business model. And this is exactly what it is. A money-orientated model that does not in any way respect freedom. In any way at all, of course. If you think Microsoft Windows respects your freedom, then you may need to rethink and search the terms brainwashing. It's a very powerful paragraph that I wrote there, and that's basically regarding the sort of brainwashing of you think you've got the freedom, you think that you can do what you want on your computer. Well, in the reality, you are not. You haven't got access to the code, you haven't got access to any source code of anything to do with either Apple Macintosh or a Windows operating system, so therefore you are locked off. You cannot change any aspect of the kernel inside that system. So if you think that you've got freedom with those operating systems, you haven't. Again, this is why Microsoft and Apple compete. The GNU Linux projects don't compete, because it's completely, totally different business model. Microsoft created an industry, one that respects only the pockets of developers that cannot invent, only program, putting money in the pockets of non-creative, non-authors, unable to invent and progress. This is why Windows has never had any inventions at all. Microsoft package a product of existing inventions. Think about it. They never invented the GUI, the graphical user interface. They never invented TCP/IP, which is the Internet Protocol. They never invented the graphics card or 3D rendering. They never invented USB. Can you see how they really are just a company piggybacking profits that are really belonging to others? Same goes for Apple Mac. Again, the inventors of these things, as I say, are in the background. They're just crushed out of the equation, while they're packaging, in a sense, their inventions and making a large amount of money out of it. Anyway, I digress. The idea that developers need to eat, as you can see, is actually a fallacy. It's not supposed to exist. It is a perversion to fuel a broken system. A mechanic does not put a padlock on a customer's car bonnet to stop her from fixing her own car. That would clearly be a violation of their freedom. So why they do it on a computer? Is it because your computer is an okay product to padlock shut with high-tech locking mechanisms? No one gives a shit about your money or your business model if it affects freedom. Any business model that respects the freedom of others of all walks of life, regardless of status or country or even skin color, is to be respected in return. Just remember, every time you pay Microsoft or Apple, they are not any different, as in the Microsoft or Apple, than you are actually paying for your rights and freedoms to be removed. Snap out of your brainwashed state, please, for the sake of humanity. So regarding the GNU GPL, either whether it's version 1, 2 or 3, and other freedom-respecting software licenses, because there are many others, it's all about freedom and has nothing to do with the free beer, in this case money for software. You need to think of a new business models to make money, and there are many, especially in the GPL or free software area. The current proprietary software model is hindering and stagnating creative minds to develop new innovations, inventions, even new business models. Creativity on a Windows system is stagnating. In fact, it's stagnated and is already stagnated. The GNU Linux is proven that it works. Compass Fusion, 3D Desktop, OpenGL, OpenCL, CUDA developments, the KDE desktop innovations, and much more. GNU free software is moving faster and at a much more quality rate than anything else. My opinion of business models. I don't think it is a bad thing to reinvent the wheel. How else will we make better and faster transportation? When you build a car, you make it so parts can be changed, upgraded, and so on. This is true for many other products. A personal computer has the same ability. Some would say, in the sense, you can open the case and swap out PCI cards, etc. Although this is true, and so it should be, the same should be applied to software. The idea that you can just install and uninstall software programs, you say. This is the same as swapping PCIe cards. Well, I got a shock for you. Brainwashed. Computers don't work like that. Microsoft works like that. Oh, I do hope that just got you thinking. Let me elaborate, please. If we took your car engine apart, we look at the ports, the cylinder head, valve seats, valve springs, tensions, etc. Lots of areas of the engine. We can skim the head, port the intake and outtakes, ports, manifolds, change the valves, seats and springs depending on how we want to modify the engine. This is just on the engine. We have further areas of the car or bike such as suspension, chassis, etc. Yeah, you can buy replacement hop-up parts and so on, but you have the freedom to manufacture or modify existing ones as you see fit. Software is no different. It is a product that you can either go to a manufacturer like IBM, HP, etc. and have made for you, programmed for you. Or you can take the stock program and modify it. Change it, reinvent it, change it in any way you see fit, then share it with your changes as you see fit, just like you can with anything else in the physical world. Who the hell does Microsoft and Apple Mac think they are to stop you? I've lost myself, I'm sorry. Microsoft, Apple Mac think they are to stop you from doing just that. Unlawful control over your freedom, is it not? I do hope by now you can see this. I go on further to say, this is why GNU Linux exists, and why its main method, as in primary method of distribution, is in source code. You read the source, you learn what the program will do, how it does it, and you compile and run it once you are happy with it, but you have the freedom to do as you wish. Microsoft, as of Windows 7, implicated handcuffs with the operating system. By handcuffs we mean restrictions that handcuff you doing what you want to do. One of these, probably one of the most draconian in my opinion and disgusting acts any company could ever do, that is charge you whatever cost it is for the Windows product, then lock it down to that computer hardware. Now bear in mind, you'll go out, you spend £100, £200 on an operating system, you install it on your new computer, everything's fine, you think there's no problem. Well, let me continue. This means the software cannot be used, where are we? One of these is blah 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 blah. This means the software cannot be used on anything else other than that computer. And this is what I go on to say. What it means is if you change your motherboard or the computer breaks and you have to buy another computer, you cannot take that valid Windows product and install it on your new computer. It effectively lives and dies with the machine it is activated on. This is exactly the words of the Microsoft sales team that I spoke to just after the launch of Windows 7. So as I say, this is the validated facts. Obviously, if you get a full product package, which is the most expensive boxed package that Microsoft do, they allow you to transfer that to a new machine. But in regard to the OEMs, and this is what this one's about. I should have wrote that down actually in the transcript, so I'll modify that. But you will be able to read this whatever I post it up on my blog. What that actually means is that the OEM products that you buy, the ones that you get with your laptop when you buy it, or your computer when you buy it, the ones you pay about sort of £100 for, I bet you have to buy a small piece of hardware with it. They are 100% stuck to the hardware once they're activated. You cannot transfer it from that hardware onto a new computer. So I go on to say, so is it legal to use an operating system that you paid for on your own computer? Answer: no, it is not. So why would Microsoft make it so that they dictate to you what you can and can't do? In my opinion, that in itself is unlawful, not to mention the fact code is proprietary, locked off, so that you can't make any modifications or actually exercise your right to freedom upon that computer. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I wrote there. I apologise for the stumblings and whatever that I went through it. But the point that we're getting at here, when it comes down to GNU Linux and the term open source, which I don't like because open source has been perverted over the years, and that's room for another video. But the reason for it is so that you are able to actually supplied with a product, whether it's a laptop or whatever, which contains an operating system on there, you are able not only to change the hardware, not only to modify the graphics system, not only to change the memory, upgrade, do what you wish with, probably even take apart, and if you've got the skill to do the soldering, you can then desolder, solder, and whatever this and the rest of it. But not only to do it with the hardware, you are actually able to do it with the software as well. Unfortunately, if somebody like Microsoft or Apple give you a package of software and it's completely totally proprietary, you have no source code. You have to reverse engineer that piece of software, but you can't even do that because they're using encryption algorithms, so that their compiled code can't be reverse engineered. So you end up with further problems in regards to that. So the question is, why the hell should you actually have to reverse engineer the software in the first place? The software should be respecting your freedom from the word go. You shouldn't have to be getting a piece of software that doesn't respect your freedom so that you have to reverse engineer it. You should be getting a product that respects your freedom, respects everything about you, so that you can get started. And that is actually the real reason for the entire of the GNU Linux project. So again, this video is actually in more of a response, more of a, in a sense, an education to people out there that seem to think that the GNU Linux is a competitor of Microsoft, or a competitor to the Mac OS, or any of the Apple products. It is not. It is a software that is respecting freedom. It's something that the other companies don't do. If these other companies, like Microsoft or whatever, I'm sorry, GNU Linux is not a company. So yeah, I'll rephrase myself there. I apologise for that. If you look at Microsoft and Apple Macintosh, or Mac OS and Apple products, all of those are companies. They're there, they're making money, and this, that, and the rest of it. That's what they are. They're not respecting people's freedoms, and they're in competition. GNU Linux is not a company. It's an organisation. It's a community. It's basically a community of people that agree with its ideology to preserve our freedom, to preserve our rights and digital rights of the computer, what we can and can't do on a computer system. That's what it's for. That's what it's there for. It's not a product. If somebody like HP or Dell or anybody of these companies or whatever want to use the GNU Linux system, they're more than welcome to, and as is said with many of the free software foundations, and has been said many a times by Richard Stallman, They can quite happily come in here and use the software. But if they do use the software, they must make sure that they pass on the equal freedoms that they were given to use the software. So they use the Linux operating system and the GNU software on their laptop products. It reaches their shelves, but the customer is able to, if he wants to, fully access all of the source code, everything that is running on that machine, so that he has his freedoms basically are not taken away from him. That is the basic principle. And the fact that the software is given gratis is just something that they decided to do way back during the 80s, and that is just the thing. When obviously, say somebody like HP or Dell or IBM or whatever want to sell a product or whatever, if they put a development within that software, then it's part of the cost of the product when you buy it. If they sell 1 million laptops, it costs 150 grand for additional software development. Well, that's £150,000 divided by the 1 million laptops, which equals X amount of pence additional charge on top of each laptop. It does, that's the way it is. The concept that Microsoft places in of saying, oh well, creativity, won't happen. You need to pay developers, and this, that, and the rest of it, is a fallacy, because it's been proved wrong. As the people who are creative, the people who come up with the ideas, are people actually in their bedrooms messing around and tinkering with the software. It's people in their front rooms. It's people who are the hobbyists, or the young developing programmers that are at school at the moment and learning to program, learning to do these skills. They're the people that are bringing up the new skills, as we put it. There's where the heart of the creativity is, and the concept that that Microsoft is, they're just, as far as I'm concerned, they're just clinging on to a bad business model, because I don't think that business model works in a world where freedom means more than some fancy graphic package. But anyway, I've been ranting on. I just wanted to put that over and, as I say, basically point out to a lot of people that seem to have missed the concept that GNU GPL, or GNU Linux as such, is released on a free software license for freedom, to allow all users, developers, companies, programmers, tinkerers, kids learning to program, full free access to exercise their freedom. So put simply, it's for freedom. That's what it is. Anyway, thanks a lot, my good YouTubers, and I shall speak to you in the next video blog. It's incredibly early in the morning here, so yeah, a bit half asleep. But yeah. Anyway, take it easy, stay safe. Thanks a lot.